Hey guys, it's Jessica Hayes. So today I have a little extra video for you because one of my friends messaged me saying that CRAYOLA had come out with a brand new makeup line. As soon as I found out that it was vegan and cruelty free, I of course had to buy a few pieces from the range and test it out for myself. So that's exactly what this video is going to be about. A little first impressions and demo of some of the brand new CRAYOLA beauty goodies. So first I'm going to start off with this CRAYOLA Beauty Face Crayon, and this is the color Eggplant. I'm just going to start off by putting that into the crease of the eye, just to build a little bit of definition for the eye look that we're going to do. So I started off with obviously my base done, and I just put a little bit of white concealer down on my eye. And this isn't really coming out super pigmented, not like it looks like in the tube anyways. Then I'm just gonna grab like a little fluffy brush just to blend it in a little bit. And that's just wiping all of the color off. We're not off to a good start, but maybe if I use the brush straight from the product, it'll make a little bit of a difference and just kind of pat that on. This is a little more work than I was anticipating for a base. So to start the eye look, I'm going to grab this purple shade right here on the tip of a kind of firm but round brush. And I'm just going to pop that over the purple that we started to build up with the Eggplant pencil. And right now I'm just going to be placing the color on, and then I'll blend it out later. Next, I'm just going to take a fluffy blending brush with the same color. Just use that brush just to brush along the crease of the eye. Usually my first choice would be to use a matte color to blend through the crease of the eye. And then I start with my shimmery colors, but there are no matte shades in this palette, so just using what we have. And then I'm going to use a tiny little fluff brush. This is the Cosette 185 brush, and then pop that purple underneath the eye as well. So for the lid of the eye, I think I'm going to go for these bluey colors here. My heart wants to go for all these pinky purpley shades, but I do want to try a few of the other colors. I'm going to start off with a little flat shader brush, this teal green, and lay that on the outer corner of the eyelid. Well, they actually layer over each other quite nicely. So before I started my makeup, I did just apply a white base all over the lid, the Kat Von D concealer and whiteout. I like this with dramatic kind of poppy eyeshadows because it makes them stand out a little more, and then it gives them something to stick to as well. Wipe that same brush off and grab this brighter, lighter colored shade up here, and then just use that on the inner corner of the lid. This may be the most colorful look that I've ever done on my channel apart from my random color challenge look. So this shadow is really nice and pigmented. It's not quite as metallic as the other shades. It's going on really nicely. Just gonna go back to that tealy green just with my finger. Sometimes you can get them to stick on the lid a little better if you use your finger. Next I'm gonna go in with this minty shade on a small fluffy blending brush. And I'm just gonna pop that on the inner corner of the eye. This is definitely a mermaid look. I'm gonna grab this clean blending brush and this beautiful lilac-y color right here, and just use that just to blend the crease just a little more. A little more of a transition. So gonna use that same color on a smaller brush and just dust that underneath the eyes as well. Next, I'm gonna grab this pinky shade, add that onto the inner bridge of the eye. These are actually blending quite nice. I'm just gonna take this peachy shade here and just do a little bit, kind of like a little under eye blush just on this outer corner right here, just to give it more of that blown out look. So I feel like my eyes are done. I'm going to curl my lashes and add some mascara. I'll be right back. So I'm not really a color person, but I'm totally feeling these colors right now. It's almost like a pretty tie-dye look. Okay, so next thing that I'm most excited about is the face palette. To have all of these vegan blushes in one palette, incredible. The thing that I'm most concerned about with this palette is that there aren't any matte options. So I would probably, I'm not going to do it for the case of being able to show you as many colors as possible, but I'd probably go ahead and use more of a matte contour first and then use these kind of shinier blushes on the cheeks and the highlights on the cheekbones. I'm gonna start off with this bronzy kind of color right here, and I'll use that as a little bit of a contour on this Furless Cosmetics brush. So it has a nice sheer but even pigment. Most of the time I like to use kind of a bronzy color on the cheekbones, and then whatever color is harmonious with my eyes on the apples of the cheeks. Purples, I would usually use like a pinky colored blush, and for greens, I would usually use a peachy colored blush. So you can pretty much do anything right here. Let's try a little bit of this bold pink right here. And it's very sheer, so it's not a scary pink. It's not quite as garish as it looks in the actual pan. I'm just gonna use a different blush brush, and I'm going to try this peachy color on the other side. I don't know if you guys can tell, but all of my palettes arrived broken. I feel like if I tipped it upside down, they're just gonna fall out everywhere. ASOS did the worst job ever with packaging makeup. Definitely like the pinky side better than the peachy side, but they're nice and sheer. They're not as crazy as they look in the palette, but they actually, the pigment goes on quite nice, because sometimes if you get like a cheaper blush that looks really bright and then you go to put it on and it doesn't have much color, sometimes it can go on quite patchy, but this just goes on nice and sheer and quite even. So I'm going to take a little bit of this color right here. This is a, like, you can't see it on the camera, but it's kind of a creamy color with a little bit of a pink opalescent. Reminds me a little bit of Thunderstruck from Kat Von D. I'm gonna pop that on the pink side. Actually really like that. It's subtle like the blushes. Sometimes you don't want a crazy highlight. I'm gonna take a different highlight brush. This is the Cosette S140, and I'm going to use, this one actually has a blue opalescent in it, so let's use a little bit of that just for fun. I usually wouldn't pair a blue highlighter with an orange peachy blush, but it's all good. Just want you guys to see it. Very pretty. It reminds me of Blue Sapphire from the Kat Von D Alchemist palette. I'm actually gonna take this. I love adding these reflect pigments on the inner corner of the eye, just a little. Personally, this probably isn't really highlight color that I would wear. I like something a little more subtle than that, but if you like those bold colored highlighters, this is a really cute one. These ones I feel like might be a little too deep for my skin, but I am gonna go ahead and take this goldy one right here and just kind of use that along the mid plane right there, just to mesh that peach into the blue opaly highlight. So that is the blush palette. Let's do some swatches of these two shades that we didn't use. So those ones go on quite pigmented for a blush, especially just one swatch as well. Lastly, I have this to show you. This reminds me of Crayola. Like, I see that, and this is how I feel the rest of the range should be. Very colorful and poppy, but I love these little primary color style palettes, so you can pretty much mix any single lip color that you would possibly want. And honestly, for this, I probably do just a light pinky purpley color. I'm gonna take my little Furless lip brush, a little of this color right here. I'm just gonna start to mix them on the back of my hand. Just gonna scrape a little out to mix on the back of my hand. A little bit of this pinky color. I'm gonna use a little bit of the white to make it a little more pastel. I'm gonna start mixing those together to get a shade that I like. Grab a little bit of the yellow. This will tone it down a little bit. Oh, it went a little too peachy too quickly. I'm gonna add a little more purple. So you're gonna have a lot of fun with these kinds of palettes. It smells like heaven. It has this raspberry kind of smell. I like that it's actually not as creamy as I thought it was gonna be. It's got more of a satin matte finish, which is good because if it's too creamy, I just feel like it's gonna slide right off my lips. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of this pinky pearly color and just pop that on the center of the lip. Little setting spray. Well, there you go, guys. A full face, eyes, lips, and cheeks using the brand new, literally just came out a few days ago, CRAYOLA makeup. This is an ASOS only collaboration. I was so excited when I read that it was all cruelty-free and vegan, so I jumped on the chance and bought a few things. There are 53 things in the range, so tons of stuff. My number one disappointment with it was ASOS packaged it so bad. It came like 3 palettes stuck together with no bubble wrap, just in a cardboard box, and it had 1 piece of tape over it. The box was half ripped and I looked at it and immediately knew that it was all going to be smashed to pieces. So hopefully they will get that shit together, because they're going to have a ton of returns, because these colors are very soft and metallic. They're the kind of colors that are almost like the Kat Von D Metal Crush shadows, that you can literally look at them and they'll break. So I feel like you do have to be super duper careful with these shadows because they are so creamy. This face crayon, I'm gonna give a hard pass to. This being my first experience of putting Crayola on my face was a very negative one. I was almost like, once I put this on and then that purple over the top and it was just not blending right, I almost actually quit doing my makeup for this video because I just figured the rest of the stuff was going to be horrible. So big hard pass on the eggplant face crayon. It could very well be that it's because I grabbed a purple pigment. Purple is often a hard color to blend in most eyeshadows. It doesn't matter what brand it is. There's just something about the pigment that it's just a known fact that purple is a hard color to blend. So I think the combination of this not really being the greatest quality pencil and then putting a shimmery shadow over the top of it, it just was giving me a little bit of grief when I first started this makeup. But the rest of the colors, oh my gosh, they blended so pretty. So the other shades that I didn't get to try, silvery guy and this little baby blue one there as well. And the shades just fell out. I literally just tipped it a tiny bit and they've gone bye-byes. So my favorite thing from the collection has definitely got to be this little primary colored lip mixing palette. I like the texture of the lipsticks because they're not super glossy or sheeny, so it feels like they're going to stay on well. The worst thing is when you mix a color like this and you're constantly having to reapply it because it's really hard to get that same color that you mixed over again. There we go. There are the swatches of that lip palette. As you can see, the black is really sheer. Let me try to pop another layer over that. Yeah, so it's more of a glossy color. I guess not really meant to be worn as a black lipstick per se, but probably just to add some depth and dimension into these other shades when you're mixing them all together. So most of them have like kind of about a medium opacity pigment wise, and it smells like delicious raspberry lollies as well. The boxes and packaging that it comes in are super cute, little just pastel Crayola-esque boxes. So my final verdict on the Crayola Beauty, I'm kind of 50-50 with this one. To me, when my friend first told me about it, I envisioned crazy bright colors, just maybe some some chalk face paints and really fun, loud stuff. And there definitely is that kind of stuff in the range, scattered, not in the eyeshadows though. There are a few lip colors that are a little more bold, and there are a few face crayons that are a little more bold, but with my experience with the face crayon that I did buy, which was $14.50, I probably wouldn't go ahead and purchase any more of them. I'm not sure if it was just the purple, but that one was not great. So the shadow palettes are a little underwhelming. There's nothing truly unique in the range to me. The blush palette was really pretty, and it's definitely going to be just a pretty palette just to have. Sometimes it is hard to find a lot of vegan blush palettes. There's usually 1 or 2 shades in the palette that aren't vegan, so you can't buy the whole thing. So I do like the convenience of having that. Yet again, there's nothing super duper special or unique about any of the colors that are in there. So basically what I'm saying, if you're a makeup hoarder like I am, I pretty much have a lot of palettes already that have similar colors to this. That's why I did gravitate towards the mermaid palette, because it was a lot of colors that I don't already have. I do really like the warm palette that they do have, and I think that that would be really, really pretty as well, but there are no matte shades in that as well. They're all like shimmery, coppery, goldy shades, which is super pretty. But for me, with a palette with so many colors, I like to have a few matte shades in there as well, so that I can mix and match and get a little more definition in the crease of the eye. So I'm gonna kind of give it a thumbs up and a half. Other than the face crayon, I'm not disappointed in any of the products, but just like I said, they're not super unique, so I wouldn't run out to repurchase them again. I, however, definitely will be having ASOS replace my palette, because that packaging is an abomination. I can't even believe that they sent it without bubble wrap. It's just insane. Anyways, that's another matter to fix. Hopefully, if you guys have received any of the Crayola stuff, they didn't mess up your packaging and your palettes didn't break either. So thank you for tuning in to this little first impressions and review video. If you are new to this channel, make sure you hit subscribe. I always do vegan and cruelty-free makeup tutorials and love to test new things. I will see you guys for my next video. See ya!